Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the fascinating source materials you send us and, well, we really dig in. We pull out the core ideas, the stuff that really makes you think.
And today, we're diving into the world of ALAgrApHY. He's an artist and scientist based in Paris, and interestingly, a very early player at that intersection of art and AI.
Right.
Our mission really is to trace his story, how he navigated those initial, first steps of AI art. We're especially looking at some groundbreaking early sales. We've got press releases, his own reflections, exhibition info, quite a mix.
Exactly. We want to help you understand where AI art really started to hit the mainstream, maybe recognize the ALAgrApHY role, which seems kind of overlooked, and just explore the whole complex reception this new art form got. Expect some surprising connections.
Definitely.
So let's start with the basics. Who is ALAgrApHY?
Well, ALAgrApHY is quite the individual. Based in Paris, he's called a heptaglot artist.
Heptaglot, 7 languages.
7 mediums, actually. Painter, photographer, filmmaker. And you could argue his AI work covers a few more right there. But what's really striking is the science background. He has a PhD, plus postdoctoral work in artificial intelligence.
Wow.
Specifically natural language processing, and that's from the Sorbonne University. So a serious scientific grounding.
A heptaglot artist and an AI PhD. Yeah, that's not your typical artist profile. And that mix must have been key to his early work.
Absolutely fundamental, I think. He was looking into AI's creative side really early on. He talks about building his own drawing machines.
Like physical machines?
Yeah, and teaching them, essentially using algorithms, how to make art. It wasn't just dabbling. It was a serious exploration of AI as maybe a creative partner.
Building drawing machines has a kind of old-school inventor vibe, but with cutting-edge tech. Did this lead somewhere specific? You mentioned a project, Children of the Cloud.
Yes, Children of the Cloud.
Yeah.
That kicked off in 2016, a really ambitious project. He created, get this, 10,000 AI-generated portraits.
10,000.
10,000. And these were all fictional people. But the interesting part is the intention behind it. They were meant to represent a whole spectrum of human diversity, different origins, ages, genders.
Okay, 10,000 AI faces representing humanity. How technically did he do that back in 2016?
He used GANs, generative adversarial networks, which were, pretty advanced then. He trained them on a huge data set, 1,001 photos from his own earlier project called 1,001 Faces.
Ah, so he fed the machine his own photography.
Exactly, from 2011 to 2016. So he gave the AI this rich, diverse visual input to learn from, and then it generated these completely new imagined faces. His NLP background probably helped him think about how AI learns and generates things creatively.
Right, like seeing the data as its own kind of language.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has this incredible digital collection, The Children of the Cloud. Now, how does this connect to the idea of the first sale of AI art? Because that's a big claim.
It is. So those Children of the Cloud became the raw material for another artwork created in 2017 called Muses and Dormies. Think of it as a mosaic.
A mosaic.
Yeah, made up of thousands of those individual AI portraits. It took that idea of AI-generated diversity and pulled it together into one big piece, a single statement.
And that piece, Muses and Dormies, that's the one, the first sale.
That's the one, sold on February 13th, 2018. And the venue is important, too. The Salon Comparison, held at the Grand Palais in Paris.
February 2018, Grand Palais. Okay, so that timing is key, isn't it? Because the sale everyone thinks was first, the Christie's one.
That was much later, months later, in October 2018. ALAgrApHY's sale shows AI art was already entering the market, maybe more quietly, through established channels. There wasn't just this big auction house splash later on.
Wow, okay, that really reframes the timeline. The first sale was in Paris at a respected salon, not London or New York, via a massive auction. That's a crucial detail. And Muses and Dormies wasn't just sold and forgotten.
Not at all. It
Oh.
gained significant recognition, actually.
Yeah.
One of the editions, there were 7, is now part of the French national heritage.
Really?
Yeah.
National heritage?
Yes, the Paris City Hall acquired it, which says a lot about its perceived cultural value pretty early on, at least within France.
From AI experiment to national heritage, that's quite something. Did he continue showing work like this, using the Children of the Cloud?
He did. He kept exhibiting at the Salon Comparison pretty consistently after that 2018 sale. In 2019, he showed another piece called Dames Souriantes, Smiling Ladies, also made in 2017, also a mosaic of those AI faces.
Palais?
And Dames Souriantes actually won the Digital Art Prize at another famous Parisian salon, the Salon d'Automne, back in 2018.
The Salon d'Automne. Wait, isn't that the salon that launched like Fauvism and Cubism historically?
That's the one, a very prestigious, historically significant venue. So yes, his AI work was getting awards from established art institutions quite early.
That's major validation. So he wasn't just selling, he was getting critical recognition too. What else came out of this AI exploration?
He kept pushing it. In 2020, he exhibited Femme Robot Essay. Then in 2022, The Eye, which sounds fascinating in Mosaic, but this time of paintings he'd made with AI, collaboratively.
Paintings with AI.
Okay, and then QR Vault in 2023, which used QR codes, making it interactive. He seems constantly interested in blending the tech with different artistic forms.
Always innovating, it sounds like. And wasn't there something recent involving the Grand Palais itself?
Yes, his project for 2023-2024, Reimaginer le Grand Palais. It's another mosaic, this time showing imagined AI-generated renovations of the building. It even has a stereoscopic lenticular window for a 3D effect.
Very cool.
That was planned for the Salon comparison this past February. And looking forward, he's apparently got a 2025 exhibition planned around the Eiffel Tower, using augmented reality, special lighting, gold paper, all sorts of techniques.
So clearly a sustained innovative practice using AI, well integrated into the Paris art scene through these salons. But there's another side to this story, right? A less triumphant one, perhaps, from his perspective.
There is, yes. When you look at ALAgrApHY's own writings, his personal reflections, you get a very different feeling. Despite all this pioneering work, these sales, the awards, he expresses a strong sense of being overlooked.
Overlooked? How so?
He feels the narrative, the big story about the first AI art sales, was basically hijacked, you could say, shaped by the market, by the media, to focus on the later splashier events like the Christie's auction rather than his earlier sale.
He feels his groundwork was just ignored in the bigger picture. Did he try to correct that?
He says he did. He tried talking to journalists, even contacted Christie's, apparently, to point out the timeline. But he felt, largely ignored. And he mentions this specific, really frustrating moment, winning that digital art prize at the Salon de Tome, a major achievement on the exact same day as the Christie's auction.
Oh, wow, the same day.
The same day. Yet he felt his award from this historic salon carried almost no weight in the contemporary art conversation compared to the auction hype. It really makes you think about how disruptive art gets absorbed, or maybe pushed aside by the establishment, doesn't it?
That must have been incredibly galling. Win a major prize but feel invisible because of a bigger commercial event. Does he talk about why he thinks this happened? Any specific reasons?
He points to what he calls copinage in the art world.
Copinage.
It's French, means something like cronyism or favoritism based on connections. He sees an art world where who you know often matters more than the merit of the work itself.
Right, the insider game.
Exactly. And he mentions briefly getting involved with crypto art, NFTs, but feeling kind of used or overlooked there too. Just a repeating pattern, maybe.
It sounds like a persistent struggle for the recognition he felt his work deserved. And this leads him to this idea. He calls himself precanceled. What's that about?
Yeah, precanceled. It's a striking term. His idea is that his contributions, being the first mover in selling AI art, were essentially dismissed or sidelined right from the start.
So not canceled later for some controversy, but ignored from the beginning.
Precisely. He feels his efforts to get that first sale acknowledged were blocked, almost before the wider world even started debating AI art seriously. He expresses a real disillusionment, with the art world system, and says it even dampened his passion for making art for a while.
Precanceled, that's heavy. It suggests a kind of gatekeeping that prevented his story from even getting out there properly.
It does, and it makes you wonder, like he says, how many other pioneers in different areas might have felt that way, sidelined before they even got started, in a sense.
A really sobering thought. But he hasn't completely withdrawn, has he? You mentioned he's leading something new now.
That's right. Despite those frustrations, he's now heading up a group within the Salon comparisons called Extra Part.
Extra part. Okay, what's the idea behind that?
It's a fascinating blend. It fuses art with extropianism.
Extropianism. Okay, you'll have to unpack that one for us.
Sure. Extropianism is basically a type of transhumanist philosophy. It's all about achieving unlimited progress, using science, technology to constantly improve, evolve. Not just humanity, but everything is very forward-looking, very focused on overcoming limits.
Okay, so unlimited progress through tech. An Extra part aims to make art about that.
Exactly. It's about creating art that explores progress, innovation, evolution. And often the art itself uses advanced tech. Think AI, obviously, but also lasers, robotics, VR, these sorts of future-facing tools and ideas.
So the medium reflects the message in a way. Using future tech to explore future possibilities. What might that actually look like? Is there a specific extra part style?
It's probably less about a single style and more about the approach, the conceptual underpinning. You'd expect art that engages directly with scientific concepts, technological advancements, maybe speculates about where things are heading. It could be visually complex, interactive, maybe even collaborative with machines, like some of ALAgrApHY's own work.
Sounds cutting edge. Does he have concrete plans for extra part?
Yes, the aim is to have an official launch for the Extra Part group at the Salon Comparisons in 2026.
Hmm.
They hope to feature maybe 7 to 10 artists, all working with these kinds of future-focused techniques.
2026, so it's definitely an ongoing project. It shows that despite feeling pre-canceled, he's still actively pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. Still deeply invested in that intersection of art and technology.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. We have ALAgrApHY, clearly an early important figure in AI art. He created major works like Children of the Cloud, Muses and Dormies.
And achieved that documented first sale of AI art back in February 2018 at the Grand Palais, a key fact that often gets lost.
Right. But alongside that, there's his personal narrative of feeling overlooked, of battling against perhaps market forces and media narratives that favored later events.
Definitely. That feeling of being pre-canceled, the frustrations with copenage, it adds a really complex layer to the story of how AI art emerged. Yeah. You mentioned he felt the market focused on later sales. Why do you think, based on what we've discussed, that narrative stuck more?
Well, maybe the bigger auction house just had more PR power, more perceived legitimacy in certain circles. It often feels like the loudest voice wins, not necessarily the first one. It's almost a classic underdog narrative within this very new field.
It does feel that way. And now he's channeling that energy into Extra Part, looking forward, fusing art with this philosophy of technological progress.
So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway for you here? What really stands out?
For me, it's how this whole story really challenges the way we think about art history, or maybe any history getting written.
Right.
The fact that a genuine first, that 2018 sale, could be so easily overshadowed
Right.
by later, maybe more commercially potent events, it really makes you question how these narratives get set.
Yeah.
How does the art world or any industry decide who the pioneers are, whose story gets told?
That's a fantastic point. It's not always a clear, linear path to recognition. Makes you wonder about innovators in science, music, anything, whose early breakthroughs got lost in the noise.
Exactly. It forces you to think about those early figures in any field. What determines who gets remembered? Is it pure merit, timing, marketing, connections? It's complex.
So here's something for you, the listener, to chew on. Thinking about ALAgrApHY's experience, how do industries like the art world construct their own histories? Who gets to define the narrative? And are the firsts we celebrate always the actual firsts? What important stories or perspectives might we miss when one version of history takes hold?
It's worth digging deeper.
Definitely. If you want to explore ALAgrApHY's work further and the ongoing story of AI in art, you can check out his website at www.alahay.org.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yes, thank you. We'll see you next time.